Hey, this is Mike.
Hey, this is Josh.
Welcome to Isn't That Weird? Today is February 6th, and we're going to come to you with a question of, should a person keep their money separate in a relationship?
In fact, the question specifically from Antoinette Tolliver, is it okay to keep money separately when you're in a committed relationship?
Okay, I'm just going to go out here and say it, right? I don't think you should keep anything separate in a relationship because that introduces separation, obviously, right? It introduces a way to be different individuals when you should be one entity, in a way. What do you think?
Well, I mean, like one entity, one person, one living thing has a lot of parts, right? You have a hand, you have a foot, you have a brain, you have a heart, and so aren't they all separate from one another?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, why not separate bank accounts?
Well, because it's like, how can I explain this? It's like saying, it's saying like you don't trust that person, in a sense. It's saying like, if I pay rent, you pay this. When it just sounds better when you say we're gonna do this together, not like I have my team here, you have your team there, you have your side of the bedroom, I have my side of the bedroom, I have half of this steak, you can have this other half. You know, it just sounds too much like separation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what about the analogy for the body?
The body.
So like I said, well, yeah, you know, the foot is separate from the heart.
Right? Well, everyone, I agree. Everyone has to be their own different individual, okay? But to an extent, I just contradicted myself. I believe in individualism, where people become empowered when they feel like they are powerful. You know? So, yes, like in a relationship that I am in, I would never say to my significant other, you cannot go on a vacation with your friends, you know, because we're in a couple. You have to have your own deal. But I don't think when it comes to important stuff like money, finances, ultimate goals in life, separate goals in life, everyone should be on the same page. And when you carry too much of separation into a relationship, it's just the equation for divorce, I think. Or if you're not married, separation.
So
permanently.
To me, like that all sounds like the relationship becomes like its own entity.
Yes.
And so if at any point I go, well, I don't want to share a bank account, that's like me saying like I don't believe that the relationship is worthy of one bank account.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, how do you feel about prenups?
Oh, I don't like them.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't like them. I think it's asking for divorce.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right off the bat. So I feel like this episode we're going to agree a lot.
Yeah.
So who wants to be the devil? And who wants to be...
Opposite side. Okay, what about if... But then again, it's kind of like you don't trust. What... Like, okay, how about if you are with a person that just thinks that with money, right?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Right?
Is there a justified reason?
Is there a justified...
Yeah,
I think that would be a justified reason. If you can't trust your significant other, your partner, your best friend, okay? But I don't think that's a means to separate your bank accounts. I think then that other person should step up and run the finances of the relationship. Okay? We get together with... The reasons why we form relationships, okay, is because we are not the same person. We're different people, but we add different values to each other. And I think it becomes a mutual benefit to that, having that relationship. If we didn't come together and have different values, different beliefs, and we all were just the same, it would be a boring relationship.
That's a really good point.
What you think?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Sentimentally, it just rings true with me. I don't have anything like rational to say about it. I just have another question. So you have someone that's not very good with money,
Okay.
and then you have the other person that is that, and that's what they bring to the relationship.
Right.
So that person that's not good with money, what is the opportunity for them to learn? Obviously, to get good with money, but what is the opportunity in that relationship? So, like, let's say they agree to have the same bank account.
Okay.
Still, because you said that wasn't a very good reason, still not a good reason to have separate bank accounts.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, that seems to be working against the grain.
Right.
But we still have a deficit there in the other person who doesn't know how to contribute, doesn't have the value of knowing how to spend money rightly.
Right.
So 2 questions out of that. How do you think you get to that other person to be, how would you invite that person to be comfortable in doing that? And then secondly, what is the opportunity for, what opportunities are there for that person to learn in the value of the other person who does know how to save?
Oh, that's a mouthful. And I think that's another episode to get into, because then you're gonna have to think about is the person intelligent enough to know that they stink at income?
Intelligent or aware?
Well, I think you got to be intelligent to be aware, right?
I don't think so, because I don't think a plant has much intelligence, but it's aware of the sun, and it knows when to grow.
But what about photosynthesis? Photosynthesis.
Is that a mark of intelligence?
I would think so. But
for a plant?
For a plant. For a degree of a plant, because you have to turn that energy.
Right, but what comes first? The sense, in my opinion,
Okay.
It would seem that it would have to have sensitivity to the sun before it could realize how to have an intelligence to produce photosynthesis or nutrients from the sun through photosynthesis.
So it has to develop. So what you're saying, just to recap, it has to develop a sense of sensitivity. So to develop means you have to learn, right? You have to learn about the sun.
Yeah, because
and be able to use that, what you learn, into making the plant itself grow.
Yeah.
Well, I would think. Let's talk about what intelligence is. See, this is another episode. But intelligence, by definition of Webster, says you have to be able to learn and utilize what you have learned into existence to be intelligent. So right there, that just says that the plant is an intelligent thing, because you have to utilize photosynthesis which is the sun. You have to learn sensitivity from the sun, utilize that information to make yourself grow.
Well, utilization was the second part of the meanings in that definition. The first one was be able to learn.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
And to be able to, I think you got to have that sensitivity.
Yeah. So how can we relate this to the finances?
The 2 questions?
The 2 questions. So
the first question was, one of the questions was what are the opportunities for the partner that doesn't know how to do well to be better?
Okay.
And I think the second question was, how do you invite that person to be comfortable with you handling, or the person handling the finances? The one who is good at it.
Yeah.
So let's start with one question, not try to tackle them both.
Ooh, that's a lot.
How do we invite these significant other? Okay, let me just make it personal. I'm not very good at saving.
Okay.
My fiance is.
Okay.
She and I have talked finances. We're also pretty good about talking about it. It's not like we argue about it or anything. But she'll be reminding me before I need to remind her about who's got to save and do well with the budget spending.
Okay.
In her own way, she's inviting me to do better,
Nice.
but she's not really in. I wouldn't say there's been a formal asking, hey, like, do you mind if I help handle the finances?
Yes.
When we share an account.
Okay.
And so, even though we've talked about it, Cynthia, if you're listening. So, but let's say I was resistant against it.
Okay.
How would you recommend to her to be comfortable inviting me into trusting that she'd be able to handle the budget?
Well,
is there a way?
how would you? You just have to let that person do it. Okay, words. What I learned in life, you could tell somebody many different ways to try to influence their thinking. The best bet for me in my personal situation is that just let them do it, and if they do it well, then that's your form of proof that they could do it. And if a person is not as cognitively inclined in that, then they have to learn. I don't know how else you would do it. You just have to learn.
So for this moment, I could take a quick break to meditate on that real quick, and that'd be useful. So basically, I guess what I think from that is that we probably have to encourage when the partner does well, and not really tell them what to do, but just invite them into the conversation when they're ready to have it, I guess. And I guess when they're ready to have that conversation, they'll be more likely to want to, because you've given them all the space to learn, maybe from you on how to lead the way on that.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree. It's tough for me because I could do the finances. I just choose not to do it just for logistics. So I tend to give it to my significant other and let them handle it. And she does a great job. I'm more of an avid doer, more of a producer in a sense.
So do you think we should... Okay, so I think that answers question one. We just sort of create the space for them to learn how to do it well, let them do it, and then encourage them to keep on doing the right thing instead of telling them what to do.
Yes.
Okay. Second question.
Okay.
Then, what are the opportunities for growth for that person and for the relationship?
Okay. Well, one, the person could apprentice. I guess that would be the word to use. You could apprentice your counterpart, because if your counterpart is more productive and more successful at handling the business, the finances, then at least you can learn how he or she does that by how he or she does it, in a sense.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
And then a good apprentice is like a good student.
Yes.
And a good student is someone who wants to learn how to do well.
Yes.
And someone who learns how to do well can also, in fact, teach others, maybe at some point. So I would say that's an opportunity for them to grow into a teaching position later, as long as they get comfortable in a student apprentice position.
Yes. And you have
as soon as can be, hopefully.
Yes. And that's the reason why I say you have to know. You have to know your strengths. You have to know your weaknesses. If you don't know that, then you can't be helped. You know, in a sense.
And know that we don't know.
And know that we don't know. We all don't know. We just guess. This is our hypothesis on everything, don't we? I mean, what's going to go on with the government next week? I don't know, but I have an opinion. Right? What's going to go on? Are we in the last days? Is Jesus coming tomorrow? I don't know, but I have an opinion. So we don't know, but this is our honest and passionate attempt to figure out what's going on in our society.
Are we ever justified, do you think, in saying we know anything?
Well, it depends. Are we talking about the ego, or are we talking about people?
Like self for others, or like ego in terms of like just who we think we are?
Who we think we are, because that's what we everything is ego, like, okay,
except for when it's others.
Well, yeah, except when it's for others, but there's a term called motivated reasoning. Okay, it avoids cognitive dissonance. Okay, That's what it is that people resort to motivated reasoning. Like, if they don't know a certain topic, they're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to be motivated to figure it out. Now, there's plenty of people in prison that's imprisoned wrongfully, but they didn't have that much evidence, so they use motivated reasoning. Well, this guy was here at this date, but there's no DNA evidence, there's no factual evidence. This is like more of a hypothesis.
So like using motivated reasoning instead of just believing that person's guilty?
Exactly.
From what, the jury's point of view?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's weird, but justification is another episode too. You could talk about that all day, right?
Yeah.
Why do we think what's right, what's wrong? That's how we was raised.
Okay, so there's got to be some things though, and to bring it back to the original question, is it ever justified to say that it's not right to what the person that says, I'm not sharing my bank account with my significant other? Where do you think they're finding their justification to say that?
Insecurity. I think it evolves around insecurity, and in a sense where it's like, you know what? I might have feelings for this person, but I don't want to see that person grow as fast as I could grow myself. And that is why prenups exist.
Pride.
It's pride.
Yeah, and then the prenup comes in because it's saying like, I'm insecure in the relationship, at least enough to say that I'm not 100% committed to doing this without expecting some sort of payback if it goes shitty.
Right. And I can understand if you're a billionaire and you have something like that, that's that's a little bit more risky. But people that's making like $50,000 or less a year.
Wait, you understand how you're a billionaire?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because look, if you worked your whole life away, I know this is contradictory, guys, but if you worked your whole life away and you got $1 billion, I don't know. Maybe a couple arguments with that significant other might just decrease your net worth a half. I don't know.
Well, but it is contradictory. So I'd have to agree.
It is contradictory.
But why is $1 billion worth saving, and allowing that like room for that contract when earlier it seemed that at a lesser amount it wasn't?
Yeah, that's a good question. Would you give up half of your soul?
No, because that's as good as giving up all of it.
Exactly. It's the same thing with money. Would you give? I mean, if you're a billionaire, if you had, let's say you was inherited a company from your great-great-grandpa or whatever, and it brings in a little bit more emotional attachment to it. I can understand that reason because you have to keep it in the family. You was given this, your great-grandpa, maybe he was a slave or something, came out and created a company. Mm-hmm. And this was the only thing he had to provide for his family's family. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you would want to get that protected. I get that. So I do agree with certain parts of prenups, but then again, I guess it depends on what your definition of enough. Like $1 could be enough for a homeless person. He will want a prenup, right? I mean, if $1 is all you have, then it is worth $1 billion to that homeless person. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm conflicted.
No, it's good. It's good. There's two types of values, it seems. There's the value of the actual physical amount, and then there's the value of the meaning behind why you have it. And I think it's probably a cause. Confusing those two is probably a cause of the conflict.
That's what it is.
Because one's trying to maintain, like, let's say in the first example you gave, the legacy of that that inherited money, that inheritance. And you want to keep that protected because that person had trust to give you the inheritance.
Yeah.
Regardless of the dollar amount.
Okay, how about this? With all things aside, anything passed down, and you were able to protect that. How about saying this? Keeping the money that you make from the time of the relationship being fabricated open to both of you. I think that would be fair. Any monies or jewelry or any assets that you guys
collectively contributed and
should be together. But anything that has been inherited to you, solely to you, I think that's fair, should be protected. Unless that your significant other helped increase the value of that inheritance.
Wow.
Then that's something different.
Well, and then it's different, and it also seems like that people are working together at that point anyway.
Yeah.
That seems like a good, sound relationship. And if that were to take a downhill turn, like, could it happen? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But most likely it seems like that agreement would include some sort of understanding that the shared contributions and the shared growth of increasing the value of the inheritance was for some greater purpose. And
Yes.
in that case, I would say that there's probably more agreement and cohesiveness and intimacy in that relationship that has more value than the dollar amount.
Amen.
And considers that the dollar amount will be useful for things like building up that sort of relationship. It's not for like worldly gain. It's for the value of what growth is.
Right. Wow. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
How could you put? And here's another question: how would you be able to put up? Okay, let's back up. Let's talk about. Let's give another example. Okay. How about if hypothetical? Let's do a hypothetical.
Yeah.
So it's not our personal relationships. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We name a guy named Sam. Sam and Pam.
Sam and Pam.
Sam and Pam. They formulated a relationship. Sam and Pam, not Spam. They didn't have a kid named Spam. Spam.
Although it makes sense if they did.
That would be awesome, huh? Okay, how about that? Sam and Pam had a relationship. They conceived a kid named Spam. So Pam stays home and watches Spam.
Mhm.
Doesn't eat Spam. Because that would be genocide.
That's a different conversation. Really?
But how-
Ask those questions.
Why didn't you eat Spam, Pam? Why?
I don't know, Sam.
Then you go into like Forrest Gump. You can have like barbecue Spam, grilled Spam, Spam soup.
Our Hawaiian listeners would like that.
Yeah.
They're like the spam capital of the world. Okay, I didn't mean to derail.
That's funny though. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
This is funny. But how about if Pam stayed home and watched Spam?
Mhm.
Right? How would you add that value into dollar amounts
Easy.
for a period of years?
Easy. That Pam would seem to be needing to do all the groundwork that Sam doesn't need to do, and instead can divert his energy into the growth of the wealth.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Financially, if Pam sacrificed to watch Spam, and then Sam decided to divorce Pam,
Oh, okay.
how would you add a financial dollar units to the sacrifice the time?
In which case, an annulment kind of makes sense at that point.
Right.
Because it's if the contract was 40-60, 50-50, whatever it was agreed upon, then it would say that whatever was built in the relationship was worth dividing.
Exactly. Even though if Pam didn't have a job at the time. Yeah, that's tough.
That's really tough. Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I guess it's kind of like whatever. If you make $15 an hour
As Sam?
as Sam, okay,
Okay.
or Pam. Say Pam had a job,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So her time is worth at that time $15 an hour.
By virtue of the fact that it's $15 an hour paying job.
Yeah.
We won't count taxes.
And we won't count taxes. And that's without going to a 9 to 5. So if her hourly base pay is $15 an hour, when she's out of the job, it's $15 at that time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what she's making. That's what she's bringing in right now. So her time is $15 an hour. So if she spent 24 hours in a day to watch the kids and you didn't, you would have to multiply that by 15. Now, if she was making $80 an hour, her time spent is $80 an hour.
Well, I mean, I still think that cost,
in my opinion.
I think. Well, yeah, no, I think it's good logic. I think that what it takes into account for is that still Sam is at home taking care of the kids, and should still be supporting Pam to do as much as possible, like so that she has to do no work when she gets home, and she can have the rest. And it's the same situation in that sense, just flipped around for Pam, right? Okay,
yes.
So there should be the support, but where I see the difference in what you're getting at is at that time there is a dollar value put to it,
even though you're not physically receiving the cash.
Right. I think it's a matter of the heart.
Okay.
I truly think that. I don't think there's a way you can. Just like you have the homeless man who gets $1 and that's his $1 billion. I think that if it's either Pam or Sam at work getting that $15 an hour, that's still their livelihood.
Yes.
So
Amen.
yeah, and so I think that when they bring that home, what's worth more than the dollar value, just as we described earlier, there's two types of value, is the appreciation, and I'm not talking interest, although it's interesting.
It is. Comedian. Right? This is a good episode. Everyone's laughing here. Yes, I like that.
Yeah, but there should be appreciation. There should be I think, and on top of it all, if we all remember that there's no stagnancy and no one situation has to be the same situation always. Like Pam doesn't always have to be the worker. Mm-hmm. Sam can become later, or they could both work, or they could both be poor.
Yes. What's
worth keeping in mind for Pam and Sam is obviously their relationship,
right?
And hopefully God first, and then the relationship, and then their own individual responsibilities, their relationship, their child, and then whatever the future is from that point forward. I think that's what they need to keep in mind, is that transcendental principle that things don't always stay the same. Change is the only constant. Mm-hmm. And if a prenup makes them feel comfortable for the next 5 years because they want to easy out, then that's the change they're already setting in motion from the very beginning. That's my thought on it.
And if they both could agree on that, I think if a couple like Sam and Pam get together and Sam is pushing the prenup, but Pam doesn't want to do the prenup, then that's opening segregation into the relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's a toxic.
It's toxic.
Toxic. There you go.
Yeah.
It's very toxic because it's like your best friend has a teenager brother, and you give him a hit or a puff of a cigarette, a drink of his first alcohol. That is the same thing that you're doing to bringing into segregation in a relationship. Yep. It's the first time. Is the cigarette going to kill the relationship? The prenup going to kill a relationship? No.
And just one further thing. It's like an hourglass. The whole, if you turn it over and the bottom starts to fill, it's not full from the beginning, but you know that if each grain keeps on falling from the top to the bottom, it's eventually going to get full. Like just to compliment your analogy. That's it.
Mind blown. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful example right there. My personal thing, I would tell people to not keep anything separated. I would preach to people and say, you know what, be as truthful as you can. If you still scratch your back or scratch your butt, tell your significant other you scratch your butt. Be as truthful as possible.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with the contract, like we described earlier. It doesn't necessarily mean I don't think the annulment's the right contract, but like, for instance, if Pam and Sam open up a bank account together with the idea that they want to put money aside for Spam to have some sort of like bond, some sort of interest-building Roth account or something, that's the right contract to be making.
Yes.
A future-driven contract with growth, not a future-driven contract with divisiveness.
Amen.
Like the annulment.
Amen.
Yeah.
Because Spam needs to think outside the can.
Yeah! Oh! Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right, man. You are so right.
You're right first, though.
No, you were passive-aggressive war right here. You are right.
We were both right.
Okay. So to bring everything together, it is okay to get a contract, a prenup, if it was inherited by your family to protect your family. But it has to be agreed upon on both parts of the relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think so. And I would also think being truthful to your significant other is the best way. Because if you hide one lie, you got to tell a lie to protect that lie, and then pretty soon you're at court because of the lies.
Yeah, and I think the lie in there. Let me just elucidate that. The lie is the insecurity.
Yes.
Which helps shape the behavior of the person that wants the prenup and is asking for the divisiveness later on.
Could we quickly go into that, you think? How could one eradicate the insecurity in a relationship? Could we? With
everything you just said. Being truthful. Even if the other person's not being truthful, the other person needs to be truthful with themselves.
Okay.
Like, because I'm sure that people that get prenups, if Pam wants one and Sam doesn't, and Sam just goes along with it anyway because he doesn't want to hurt Pam's feelings, and they get one, it probably would have been better if Sam had spoken from the beginning.
Yes.
About his insecurity that he wasn't comfortable with the prenup.
Yes.
And that's why I just wanted to elucidate exactly what you said. Just be truthful from the very get-go.
Yes. And keep your individuality, though, in a relationship. But don't make it so narcissistic, in a sense.
Individuality without being self-serving.
Yes.
Individuality is served with the value that you bring to the other person.
Not self-serving, but know your self-worth.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean,
33 minutes in, man. This is our longest podcast yet.
This is awesome. So hopefully we answered you guys' questions thoroughly as possible, because we thought this issue was weird. So we decided to bring it to life to you guys, right? On this beautiful day of the 6th of February. And I have to say this too, because off the microphone, I was like messing that up. The 6th of February, so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just being truthful to you guys, because I figure, when we do these podcasts, it's not just talking about other people's stuff. We are talking about our stuff too, guys.
Amen. Yeah.
And we're working and we're learning together as we talk.
Yeah. Amen.
So if we make mistakes, you guys might be in a relationship that's full of mistakes, that you're praying for a solution. And maybe this podcast would just help you find that solution. So,
amen.
So this is Mike signing out.
This is Josh.
And
that was weird.
Isn't that weird?